Heathrow Airport. It's an airport and a pretty busy one. Lots of people fly from here and work here, and then there's me who came here to get hearing damage. So yeah, this is a very important place for people to get to and from, and there's quite a few ways to get here. But what do they look like? Now, lots of people have talked about the Heathrow Express, and sometimes the Elizabeth Line, but in this video, let's look at everything and find out if they're actually good or not. Alright, starting off with the original train to the airport. No, it's not this train we're on. It's actually older than the airport. And airports. It's Feltham Station on the Southwestern Railway, which popped into existence back in 1868. Before Heathrow or airports were even a thing, which somewhat explains why it isn't exactly nearby, and over the years, there's been plans to properly connect it, but for now, we got a bus connection, and a bit of subscript on the sign, so not ideal, but likely the best option if you're coming from the southwest or southwest London, and don't mind buses. A variety of stock is used on this line, none of which are airport trains, and some are a bit better than others, but overall they're not too bad, and the bus routes are just normal bus routes, which aren't designed for airports at all, but again, not terrible. Anyway, that's that, if you really want to call it an airport train. When the airport was first built, flying was for those with lots of money, so it was thought they'd just be driven in taxis to the airport. But as flying got cheaper, more and more people started trying to get to the airport, and the roads just wouldn't be able to cope. So something needed to be done. In the 40s, it was decided a proper train was needed, and several government committees were set up. Now the planes are getting bigger and something really needs to get done. In 1967, they came up with this, but the lines into Waterloo and Victoria were already full. There just wasn't space to run more trains. Heathrow wasn't so happy about this as they thought it would take too long to get to the city, but in 1970 the extension was approved, and 5 years later, Hatton Cross opened at the very edge of the airport, and another 2 years later, the Piccadilly Line finally got into the airport, with a station serving terminals 1, 2, and 3, and one of the coolest posters ever. As airports expanded, the Piccadilly Line has two, serving every terminal. Now, these trains are a bit slow, taking about 50 minutes to get to central London, as they stop a lot, but for West London, this isn't so bad, and these trains are really frequent too, coming every 2 to 3 minutes, and overnight on some days, so pretty solid choice. These trains are designed for metro service, so there's a bit of space for bags, but it's still not great. We'll have new trains on this line sometime, but I can't imagine they'd be that different. Now, a quick thing to mention, getting the train to Heathrow at all means a more expensive fare. However, Heathrow has a free travel zone, completely subsidized by the airport. But because Hatton Cross is simultaneously inside and outside the airport, by getting off and back on again here, you can actually avoid the Heathrow charge, if you're willing to go up and down stairs, that is. Maybe not worth it if you have bags. Anyway, it's 1993 now and it's time for Heathrow's second rail link. It finally got decided that a mainline railway was going to be built to the airport, as a branch off the Great Western Main Line this time, with trains running into London Paddington. This had a slightly complicated start, but we ended up with two services, the Elizabeth Line and the Heathrow Express, and round 2 of cool posters. The Heathrow Express runs non-stop from all terminals to Paddington, but it's pretty infamous for its price, quite a bit for a 20-minute trip. Now, as I spent all my money at Greg's, I didn't ride this, but from what I could see, the interior is pretty nice, and if you book really far in advance, they're actually not so expensive. But the thing is, being dumped at Paddington isn't really useful for most people, so I'm gonna say it, it's not the price that's the issue with this service. Saving 15 minutes to then just spend that time changing trains at Paddington isn't really worth it. Now, since Elizabeth Line opened in 2022, we got quick and direct service to not only central London, but Canary Wharf too, and at a slightly more reasonable price. But they don't really have any luggage space, which is a bit awkward. But of all the rail options, this is my personal preference. We're not done yet though. Most people end it right here, but there's still some very important things to talk about. The buses. There are many TfL routes that serve the airport and the surrounding areas, even as far as Croydon. Two of these are Superloop Express routes, and for £1.75, that's a pretty good deal. If you got a route near you, there's also many long distance services, which are great if you're not necessarily going into London, in addition to many other bus operators here, which are on the screen now because I can't be asked to say all that, which serve more nearby places, mostly to the west. When it comes to cost, there's just no competing with the buses. That's almost all the good ways to get to Heathrow. If you don't like that, you can walk or something. Ah yeah, also, if you've watched it this far in the video, you're probably interested in our Discord server. I got a link to that in the comments or description, or both. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, that's all for today. See us next time.